It's short for virtuous pedophiles. Not virtuous as in they're better than everyone because they're attracted to children, but virtuous like having moral standards and a sexual orientation that they have no control over, like the rest of us. Before you get all worked up, I'm talking about pedophilia, not child molestation or rape. Pedophilia is the sexual attraction to children. It's a paraphilia. There's a link to more information about it in the description, videos I've made in the past explaining the kind of human diversity and development. Molestation and rape are different. These are abusive actions that often have nothing to do with attraction. Many child abusers are actually sexually attracted to adults, but they act out on children. Meaning you probably don't object to pedophiles because you're compassionate and rational, but you may loathe child molesters and rapists because they violate people. I personally try not to judge either. .org. It's short for virtuous pedophiles. Not virtuous as in...
Good morning, Owasso, and just more proof that liberal white women will sacrifice children on any and every altar, especially for groups that they perceive as marginalized. So, that woman has a YouTube channel. What was her YouTube channel called? You looked it up yesterday. Sex stuff or...
Sexplanations.
Sexplanations. So this is the type of chick that goes, they did a TED Talk about this. We showed the video of the TED Talk a while back because they scrubbed the internet of that TED Talk, but religious groups have kept that TED Talk. They screen recorded it and kept it up so they could keep showing it to prove that, this is real, that these people are advocating for pedophiles. That chick is advocating for pedophiles. She scrubbed that video from her YouTube channel. But do you think that means that changed her personality or her philosophy on that? Absolutely not. These are the people that would go, not all pedophiles are child molesters. Like, some pedophiles just are really attracted to children and, they'd be safe. You should let them babysit your kids. It's like, if they have a problem and they are attracted to children and you facilitate an opportunity for them to be around children that they are attracted to, you are setting them up for failure, and you're intentionally putting children in harm's way. So again, this is not unheard of. I mean, this is just a continuation of, again, liberals, particularly liberal women, well-educated liberal women saying, hey, pedophiles aren't that bad. The LGBT community's not that bad. So it's sad. Oh, is that? And look, are you pulling it up?
Pulling it up.
That was it. That was the one you saw right there.
You guys ever see some stuff?
So again, Chad's about to pull up that video of the
unchangeable.
This was years ago. I remember seeing this when I was around
like,
college
for example,
age.
Heterosexuality. No one chooses to be a pedophile. No one can cease being one. The difference between pedophilia and other sexual orientations is that living out this sexual orientation will end in a disaster.
Well, again, that was a TED Talk. Not even a TEDx talk, a TED Talk. So that was years ago that this woman was advocating for pedophiles. And you get all these pedophiles who go to these psychotherapy sessions with women like this, and they go, I would never hurt a kid. I'm just sexually attracted to them. I would never actually do anything or act on it. It's like, I don't believe you. Because we're facilitating, if you become a babysitter or something along those lines, and there's an opportunity presented, and you know you have a problem, how are you going to be able to stop yourself? I mean, and again, this is why religious intervention's the only real way people stop addiction is through basically religious intervention. I mean, Jordan Peterson talked about this. He goes, people who are chronic alcoholics or drug abusers, the only people, AA doesn't really help. Does it keep people accountable? Yes. But spiritual, religious intervention is what gets people to actually stop and stay off of it. That is the only 100% tried and true tested way. That doesn't mean that they are removed from it. That doesn't mean that I've beaten it. No, they still struggle, but they fear essentially the wrath of the Lord. So I know that's not something a lot of people in the atheist scientific community want to be like, oh, that's AA is just as good. It's like, no, religious intervention's the only true tried and true method that is actually 100% effective. So I know it sounds nuts, but it's not. Because if you think you're being held accountable to a higher authority, people will actually change their ways. Again, this is why the LGBTQ, the trans community, they need God. And they don't need to go to these, these churches that affirm their homosexuality or their trans ideology. They don't need to go to they need to, again, God does not hate gay people. God does not hate trans people. Any Christian that says otherwise is wrong. But I'll tell you what, he does hate the sin that they are living in. If you are a gay man, God does not hate you. He hates the sin that is corrupting you. The sin of you laying with another man. That, regardless of what you think, love is love. God has a plan for sexuality. The Bible lays it out. I mean, the word of God is not changeable. You don't get to go in and pick the parts you like. We have way too many of these people that pick and choose the parts and narratives of the Bible, and they go off and create this new generational church where they accept trans and gays, and it's like, no, it's all good. God loves you, and performing gay religious wedding ceremonies. And it's not okay. That's not what a marriage is. You're still living in sin. You're indulging yourself in sin, and you are making excuses and justifying your lifestyle. And that if you're in a church that is excusing that type of lifestyle, you're in a church that is it's a church of heresy. Bunch of heretic churches out there now. Gay pastors, women pastors. It's not to say there can't be women leadership in churches, but they're not called to be the figureheads of the church. So there's a lot of problems going on out there. But yeah, you pulled up. Chad's got a lot of good memes related to this kind of topic today. So I'll just kind of let you roll into them, Chad. So
absolutely. All right. So we got here the first one, which is also in our thumbnail here. It says, "How come you never read books at nursing homes?" And it's the goose. I don't know, there's some game that came out where it was like a goose
simulator,
mayhem, goose simulator, something like that. And they changed it around to where it's chasing this trans person instead of somebody else. But it says, "How come you never read books at nursing homes or to the homeless or to the sick and needy? Why is it only ever little kids?" And he's chasing a trans person away.
But yeah, no, I mean, again, we've brought this up multiple times, and we've talked about this specific meme multiple times. This is a great meme. Again, if this was all innocent, trans ideologies for everyone, well, how come you don't try to convert the elderly? How come you don't try to convert the homeless, or, go out and volunteer your time with the homeless and people in need? Why is it always kids? Why is it always reading in libraries or going to do it at schools? Because children can be indoctrinated into it. They know the elderly cannot. They know the homeless don't give a dang. If you don't have food or something that a homeless person wants or needs, they don't want to be bothered with your crap. Now, they'll probably sit through and listen to a gay or trans seminar if there was something for them at the end of it.
If there was
here's your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at the end of the ceremony.
Food, coffee, or something.
But yeah, no, again, it's kids, because kids don't have a choice. They have to sit through that public school library presentation. They have to sit through when you go to the gym and you have what do you call it? Like an assembly?
Assembly, yeah.
Yeah, you have an assembly. Kids they're forced to sit through it. The public school systems force them to sit through. They don't even, I guarantee you, they don't even give the parents or the kids the opportunity or option to opt out of going to watch the crazy nonsense that trans people do in their schools. So I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. And
think of how many of the videos that we've shown of the parents trying to interrupt those events.
Yeah, and then, you have all the allies blocking the parents of kids who go to that school, and they're like, no, you can't come in here. This is a safe space. It's like, that parent's children are in that school. It's that parent's job to make sure their children are safe. And you're saying we're the arbiters of what we deem as safe. That parent has no say in what's safe. I mean, he's making it unsafe for the the trans person reading the books to your kids.
Yeah, well, it's also a public school, so the fact that that they can, it's open to the public. Therefore, if you don't approve of something, everything that a school does should be opened and seen by the public. The fact that if they're trying to do stuff, sneaking around or trying to hide behind rules, stipulations, whatever, they shouldn't be able to do that. It is a public school. Public, meaning open and available to the public, not like, oh, we get to hold off on what we want to do at these schools.
It's very apparent that this trans ideology does not end in happiness, especially with the epidemic of trans shooters that we've had the last couple. I mean, the last, 6 or 7 shooters have all been trans or LGBTQ allies.
Seven. Last 7 shooters.
The last 7 shooters have all been pro-LGBTQ and trans. These were the school shooters, mind you. Now, I'm sure they'll be like, some a-hole will come out and be like, hey, the statistics don't bear that out because there have been 187 school shootings this year. It's like, yeah, but the ones that were specifically targeted at schools taking out mass amounts of people were from the LGBT community. Remember, suicides in school parking lots count as
School shootings.
Suicides after hours at 3 a.m. in the morning count. Police schoolhouse shootings count as shootings.
Well, crap. Even we've noticed from those statistics coming from those websites, that school shooter website, that even if a shooting happens near a school, like it's a gang-related thing, like say in Chicago, and they happen to be driving past a school, it still counts as a school
all about
shooting.
pad and stats.
Even though the school wasn't related, it just happened to be they were driving past it, near it, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So, what else you got? What other memes you have for us?
You sent me this one here, but we'll talk about this one first. You got the church one, and then there's this one right here, and this one is a teacher dancing. Says, having your elementary schoolers ask if there's 2 of you because they saw you fem one day and then mask the next day, which stands for feminine one day and then masculine another.
Like,
and then another ad, and then it's Prager University, and I think crushing it for another homeschooling ad. That's literally what it says right there. Wow, another homeschooling ad.
Yeah, but I mean, again, a kid can have a good day and a bad day. It's like you could wake up one morning and you had a bad day. So you had a good day at school the day before, and then it ended negatively. So you come back to school in a bad mood. So these teachers just go, oh, you're a femme for day 1, and now you're masculine day 2. It's like these people are looking to insert this ideology into your kids. Like, do you think this woman has any, critical thought? It's like, no, maybe the kid was having a wonderful day at school the other day, and then something happened at school or outside of school. Maybe the kid didn't get to go to McDonald's. Maybe the kid didn't get a birthday present. Maybe he didn't get to go to an after-school event. Or maybe they lost a soccer game after school, and they came to school the next day in a bad mood. But it's like, no, it's like, you were feminine yesterday, and now you're masculine today. It's like, no, they are children. Anything could affect their mood. The fact that they're not serving pizza at the cafeteria today could be what causes them to have a bad mood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like, oh no, they're not I didn't get a lollipop in class because I spelled a word wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't understand why they just, this is the first thing they go to is, you were feminine one day, now you're masculine today. It's like, it's such a gross, pervasive ideology that they would address kids this way, and they would openly address kids like this.
Well, even if this person is not teaching children things, the fact that the kids have to ask these questions to them is just weird, because what do children need in their lives, especially at a young age where, if they're kindergarten, it's stability.
Stability and structure.
Exactly. Stability and structure. And this person is intentionally taking away from that stability and structure because they're coming in completely different.
Yeah, they're coming in planting seeds of resentment and
confusion,
strife against their parents. Like, mom and dad say this, and then teacher goes, oh, no, you are a beautiful non-binary snowflake who can do and be anything. And they come home and they're like, I'm a unicorn now, Mom. And you're like, the parents are like, haha, okay, you're a unicorn today, sweetie, but just don't be a unicorn at school. And then it's like, but my teacher says I can be whatever I want. It's like, what the fudge is going on at your school?
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, it's like what we pulled up that one video of that one school where the kids were pretending to be cats, and then the school kids had a walkout protest because kids were being were told that they weren't allowed to bully the kids acting like
That's
cats.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
The furry menace at the schools. Yeah. And again, this is the kind of stuff that will lead to teachers at Owasso, like at the 8th grade center, who had boy clothes and girl clothes for age like what 13 and 12-year-olds
Yeah, he was
in his closet. Like, what is wrong with you, dude? Like, I mean, this is the type of stuff that people should be in jail for. It's like, why do you have children's clothes? I mean, like, if they were his clothes from when he was a kid, it's like, but then again, he said he had dresses too. It's like, why do you have dresses for age 12-year-old kids in your closet, bro?
So I don't remember. Was he music or was he like?
He was just,
I
think
guess
he
it
was
would make.
general education.
Well, if it was general education, that's weird. But yeah, I could see him having dress and stuff. He was like, what are they called? What are the ones
Theater.
that actor? Theater, yeah, theater person. But still, even that's weird as all get out.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, I mean, you shouldn't have it in your classroom. Like, that would be in wardrobe in the theater. Like, I mean, even when I was in drama in high school or freshman year, like, they didn't have wardrobes in the closet like you just did, like, whose line it is anyway stuff. You did improv stuff like that, It's like, you don't need to be wearing the stuff in order to, act out the scene. Like, the whole point of improv and acting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's just a lot wrong with what the current education system is like, and it's particularly the people going into the teaching profession. Like, I mean, like, teachers used to just be like the most boring, plain Jane people in the world. Like, when I was in school, like, you wouldn't want to care. If you saw your teacher outside of school, you wouldn't want to interact with them. Like, these people would, like, if they saw their kids outside of school, they'd be like, "Oh, my beautiful snowflake, because I love you." You're like, "What the fudge, lady? Like, back up."
Yeah. Well, it's like, I hate to be rude, but I'm going to be. But there are only two types of people, and you know this as well as I do. There are only two types of people in college who wanted to be teachers.
Mm-hmm.
One was the one that wanted to be teachers their entire life, and that's the only reason that they went to college was to get their, teaching degree or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's sad too. They didn't even need to go to college to become teachers.
Well, you do. It's weird, but I don't think you should. I don't know why we need a degree to become a teacher. That makes no sense to me. 0 sense. At least high school down, I don't understand. I could understand like maybe college level, but still. But getting back on point, then two, the other person was the person who flunked out of every other course or dropped every other course.
Yes,
Good at it.
yeah. They were like, "I'm gonna do electronical engineering, and I'm gonna do nursing, and I'm gonna do this," and it's like, "Oh, you failed out of that, huh? You failed out of that, huh? Now what are you gonna do?" "I'm gonna do teaching," and you're like, "Oh, well, that figures."
Yeah, and then now there's a third class of people. It's this person right here that we can see in this video is an activist.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers have literally become an activist class now.
Yeah, I don't want to have kids, but I want to be involved in child upbringing so I can corrupt the youth into my train of thought and indoctrinate them into my ideology.
Which is no different than a predator.
Yeah, they're
That
predators.
is a predator.
Modern teachers, or these modern teachers that look like this, are predators.
Gender ideology,
Predators.
our gender ideology teachers or gender queer, whatever, they are predators after your children. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind about that now.
Child predators, not like in the widescreen shot up there with that predator mask. They are predators. Child predators.
Yeah. And this teacher is just proof of that.
All right, pull up the next one.
Next one here is the one that you sent me of, I guess this is a gender affirming church.
Yeah. Here, I'll send you one more real quick while you're reading that out.
You want me to go ahead and play this?
Play
Okay.
it, read it. I think it's just music, so you don't actually have to play
Okay.
it.
Says, when your queer affirming church also accepts science, seeks justice, is full of people who love God, doesn't scare kids with hell. Well, strange, because those are all things that, I mean, you could argue the science and religion thing. Science and religion, there's a theory out there that says science and religion actually get along quite well. It's just science kind of like delves in, like I said, science delves into what can be done, whereas religion and what's the other one? Not sociology, philosophy say, should it be done?
Correct.
And then seeks justice. I mean, if we're talking social justice, no, but the Bible's all about seeking justice.
Personal justice, individual justice. Like, social justice means group equity, essentially.
group justice is not a thing.
Yeah. Justice on the individual level is a thing. That's why we have the court systems. The court systems are for individual cases of injustice. You can't mass erase something that happens to a group of people.
No. Full of people that love God. Well, I'd hope a church is full of people that loves God.
Yeah, the problem is, again, this is the type of church that I was talking about earlier. It's like the people that take the parts out of the Bible that they like and then disregard everything else.
Mm-hmm. And then it says, doesn't scare kids with hell. Well, if you believe in the Bible, hell is real. That's like one of the, first book. That's, the opening book of the Bible is God casts out the devil.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing, too. So one of the best things I ever heard, I think, John Lovell. So he's Pastor John Lovell. He's a pastor, a former ex-Army Ranger out of Georgia. And he said this, and it really rings true. If there's a part of the Bible that makes you uncomfortable or you feel like is targeted and pointed at you, there's a reason for that. It's because that's speaking to you. That particular sin or that particular passage or excerpt is speaking to you. And if it makes you uncomfortable, that's good because it's making you aware of the sin or the bad life choices you're in. So this is why I sent Chad this meme just now. It's like, this is what basically the NPC or LGBTQ trans community, this is their interpretation of Christianity. It's like, your religion offends my worldview. And it's like, Christians, it's like, I know. It should. Because you don't get to live a hedonistic lifestyle. You don't get to do whatever you want. You don't get to pick and choose the sins that are good and bad. It's like, well, God loves me and my sins because love is love. It's like, he was pretty clear about some of the stuff he said in the Bible, and you're just kind of disregarding it, saying, well, that Jesus or that God doesn't really know what he's talking about. It's like, really? So you get to pick and choose what kind of God you worship too, huh? Mm-hmm. The God of sin, it sounds to me you're not worshiping Jesus. It sounds like to me like you're worshiping the devil because you're worshiping the God of sin. Now, again, I'm not perfect. I'm farthest from perfect that there could possibly be. I struggle with my own sins all the time. And I know the people in the LGBTQ and trans community are suffering from sin. But if it feels like Christians are targeting you or talking bad about it, they don't. Christians want to embrace and love you like everyone else does. But we actually mean it when we say it. And if we tell you things that make you uncomfortable, if a good friend is the person who tells you the uncomfortable truth. Someone who just tells you what you want to hear, oh, honey, you're perfect the way you are. It's like, well, are you the millionaire? Are you the sexiest person in the world? Do you have the greatest body? Are you everything you want to be in the world? If not, then you're definitely not perfect. Even if you're looking at it from an unreligious perspective, if you haven't achieved the things you wanted to achieve in life, you're far from perfect. But there's always God's love. And he will accept you as you are, but you have to go through him, through Christ. So, sorry, I know, going off on those religious tangents, but, it's like that, like all these memes, it all comes back to that. Your eternal soul, because you don't get to take anything here in life with you. And the only thing that matters is your eternal soul at the end of the day. And I don't want people living in sin or perpetuating sin or thinking that, well, this sin's not so bad, even if the Bible says it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't get to pick and choose. So anyway, well, go ahead and play whatever else you got, Chad.
That is honestly it, I believe. The only other thing we have left, if you want to, but we can save it for another day, was this guy at the DNC that turned out to be, the fake, the one that was like, pretending he was like the cuck. He's like, my wife's boyfriend, is black, and I want to we lived through his experience together, and all that. And that's what we got. We can save that for another day, or I can bring it in, and that's how we can kind of end.
Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about it. We got a little bit of time.
Because, it is relevant with kind of the whole trans LGBTQ.
But yeah, again,
thing.
the over-acceptance of horrible thought. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Let me restart this real quick, and we'll play it through.
Culture jamming is taking everything that you see on legacy media and amplifying it to the point where people can see how blatantly absurd mainstream culture is.
And that's what you did at the DNC?
That is exactly what I did at the DNC. The lover that my wife took is African American, and I've learned so much about the struggle that people of color go through as a result of my wife's boyfriend. The reason why the BBC Porter believed it is because this is literal mainstream thought in the Democrat Party right now. We live in a clown world, and I'm just here to both expose and enjoy the circus.
What is culture jamming?
Wow. Yeah, no, so we showed this guy, and we were like going, only a Democrat could believe this guy. This guy could only exist in the Democratic Party, which is true. Like, that's what he was ridiculing them for. So, we were wrong to believe that he was a real person, but
the fact
that the irony he's getting across goes, the fact that nobody was like, hey man, that's like, the fact that the BBC reporter's like, that's kind of weird, bro. Like,
yeah, the fact that there was no reporter that would have, like, nowadays, because that was the point. He was like, why didn't anybody call me out for this? And he goes, the right wing did, but the mainstream media that interviewed didn't. The Democratic Party didn't. I mean, people just thought that goes, yep, that's a believable person in the Democratic Party. And the Democrats agree because they didn't say anything about it. There was nobody that stopped for a second and went, that is weird.
Yeah. So
because there is no weird anymore. There is no limit. The left has no limit.
There is no sin. There is no social outcast in the Democratic Party, despite how odd or how weird you are, because they have to accept everything. They accept every sin. They accept the only sin they don't accept is racism. Like, that's it. Like, racism is the big sin of the Democratic Party. And again, they throw that word around so much, it literally has no meaning at all anymore. So it's just sad. But again, that culture jamming, I mean, wow, what a great way to put it. I mean, that social parody, that social commentary is so good because they're like, oh yeah, I totally buy this guy's a real person. He's just a wacko. This is your average garden variety Democrat.
Yeah. Even I remember when we talked about it on the show, we said, this is crazy. How could there be a person like this?
This can't be real. And, I'm sure he probably had multiple conversations with multiple people in that, at the DNC. And people were just like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, this is how like what I was talking about earlier. Your friends. Who is truly your friend? Who truly cares about you, LGBTQ community? Who truly cares about you, trans community? Is it the people in the environment that you live in your circle and your bubble that say you're perfect just the way you are? In fact, you'd be more perfect if you cut your tits off. You'd be more perfect if you cut your junk off. Mm-hmm. You'd be more perfect if you were gay. You'd be more perfect if you were lesbian. It's like, and you have people who actually care about you and care about your eternal soul and your overall happiness at the end of your life going, no. So you think Christians are bigots when they're telling you the harsh truth, but you have these people telling you these comforting lies, and you would rather stay with them instead of listening to the comforting truth that Christians are trying to tell you.
Yep.
It's the cold truth that the Christians are trying to tell you instead of you'd rather, and that's the way most people are. We'd rather hear the comforting lies. I'd rather someone go, Corey, you're the coolest person I've ever met. Don't change a thing. It's like, man, all right.
Old Zach Galifianakis from Hangover 3. Never change.
I will never change.
I will never change.
Never, ever. But yeah, so it's like, again, it's that beautiful moment. I mean, next time you have to play us out with Chris Pratt, but it's like that beautiful moment that Chris Pratt gave at the Teen Choice Awards or wherever he was at. He goes, God is real. You have a soul.
His pooping thing.
Yeah, you're not perfect. People are going to tell you you're perfect just the way you are. You're not. You're not. And that's not because you have imperfections or you want to change your physical body to become something you're not. You can work out harder. You can go to the gym. Seriously, most of your problems can be solved by going to the gym, losing weight, and becoming a healthier person, eating healthier. Seriously. Because then you will be more attracted to the opposite sex. Become a useful and productive member of society. Work out, eat healthy. People will notice.
Yeah.
And you'll feel better.
Yeah. You'll feel healthier. I mean, stop eating all the foods that you get from restaurants and the processed food stuff.
At the
Make
store.
your own food. Yeah. Make your own.
Go to the farmer's market.
Meats.
Yeah. So anyway, I know we rambled a lot today, but this is important stuff that we're talking about, and we want a better world, and a better world is not going to come from only listening to the comforting lies. You got to hear the cold, hard truth, the whole cold, hard Christian truth. So that's about all we got for you today. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We are signing off. God bless you.
See you later, everybody.